Hello, everyone. Steve Westman. Welcome to the Audiophile Roundtables. This is going to be a great show, guys. I've got the CEO and COO of Discogs on. Let me get right to it. There they are. I've got Lloyd Starr, the CEO of Discogs, and Kevin Lewandowski, the CEO and founder of Discogs. Welcome to the Audiophile Roundtable, guys. This is a real honor and pleasure. I know there's going to be a lot of questions today from the viewers. We were talking sort of off camera before and talking about different stats as well. But I first, if you guys want to introduce yourself again, sort of give us some highlights of, maybe we'll start with Lloyd of, sort of your journey in record collecting and how you got to Discogs working with Kevin. And then, of course, Kevin, I want to hear your journey from your days at Intel to starting Discogs, probably from the basement of your house at one time. So I'm curious to hear that, and then we'll get into sort of more of the details and the stats of Discogs, sales, and everything like that. So Lloyd, the floor is yours. You're going full screen.
Cool. Hello, everybody. Yeah, my journey in music is wildly unintentional, which is funny. I started out as a software developer, actually, and found myself at an agency building websites for like Adam Sandler movies and things like that. And that agency actually built an online music store in 2004 called Beatport. And I was a software developer, one of only a handful that worked our days and nights to push and launch that website out. So I started out actually in digital music back in 2004. And the interesting tidbit there is this was before there were any distributors, before there was any metadata online, and we were getting masters from these independent record stores because we didn't go to the majors. We had 37,000 independent record stores early on, and they were sending us hard drives with their music on it and with Post-it notes on there of the metadata. And we actually had on there a computer, because there's no AWS, there was no fiber optic, none of that stuff, no Shopify, nothing. We had a computer there that was meant just for encoding. And then we had another computer right next to it, which was Discogs, actually. And we were contributing to Discogs and pulling information off of it in order to run what we were doing. And that's actually when I was first introduced to the platform. Fast forward years later, I worked at that company for 13 years, ultimately became the COO and president of the business. We sold it. I left, went to Native Instruments, which we did cool hardware like Machina, and we launched sounds.com, which was a cool project, competitor to Splice. And after that, to Vinyl Me Please, where I was president for 5 years. And then Kevin recruited me out of there last year in May. And it's great. It's working in this space, working in vinyl, going from manufacturing to the discography has been a tremendous full circle.
Well, there you go, and maybe we'll wish you a belated happy birthday first of all. So, congratulations on turning 30. That's awesome.
Yeah,
You look great.
15th anniversary. Yeah.
I also wanted to give a shout out. Vinyl Girl from the Instagram. She sort of helped put this together, and also too. And we talked about this as well. Pure Fidelity Turntables helped as well. So purefidelity.ca, thank you guys for putting this all together. This is a real honor and pleasure. I mean, I've been, of course, a customer of Discogs for years, and really excited to ask you a bunch of questions today. So Kevin, your turn. November 2000. What were you doing then? Tell us about that. That's a while back.
Yeah, so a long time ago. So I was probably around 23 or 25 years old, I think. So Discogs started as a hobby. I had been active on music mailing lists and talking to other people about what releases are out there and what are the gaps in these discographies. And several people had been talking about the idea of a database of music that was crowdsourced, built by lots of people. So there's one group of people trying to do it. They never got it off the ground. I spent actually 2 attempts to write the code and build a really simple prototype. And I guess over time I was improving my skills as a developer, and spent about 6 months working on this nights and weekends. Started in June 2000, announced it to a couple mailing lists in November 2000 that, hey, here's this project. Tell me what you think, add a couple of your records, and let's see see how this goes and see if we can fill in the gaps and get this thing more complete. And the idea really resonated with people, and it took off. I remember one example, the label F Communications. I had like 2 of them, so I put in all of my records in the beginning. There's 2 releases on F Communications, and like a week or 2 later, somebody put in 100 of them because they had almost a complete catalog at the time. So I was really happy about that, and it was proof that it was a good idea, and people were really interested in it and wanted to use it.
Well, we're going to get into, sort of the current state of Discogs business, the different challenges you guys faced, maybe during the pandemic as well, because that was obviously a crazy time for especially everyone involved in vinyl. So I'm curious to hear and maybe talk about the stats there, because that was some interesting times. And then we were talking before we got on time of day sales as well. I know you don't have a stat for that, but myself being guilty of it over the years, buying records on Discogs at midnight or 2-3 in the morning. I think a lot of us here listening today will probably agree. It's a stat I know Kevin's probably going to pull now. He's going to say, okay, well, I want to see this. Maybe a market, you got a market to the late nighters. That's for sure as well. But I want to give a shout out to Anthony. He works for you guys. Anthony did a great job, great communication, helping me set this up. He sent me a lot of stats that I was able to put on here, and I want to get into that right now. And guys, this is some cool stuff. You guys did a survey a while back, and here's the stats of the survey. I'll put it right up on the screen. So in 2023 survey, what type of record collector are you? That was what was asked to the Discogs, family or customer base. And what you guys learned was this, that you have 23% of your collectors are audiophiles, 21% archivist, 23% original or first pressings, and then 13% completists. So when you get that information now, how are you using that more effectively in your business model?
Yeah. So first, to talk about that survey, which is really interesting, this came out of our brand and marketing team, and they just wanted to build personas, because we want to start to create journeys in the experience that are varied for the different personas that we have. And we went out and we put out the survey, and within a few days, 30,000 people had filled out the survey. 30,000.
That's amazing.
Boom. Super engaged. I see that, our community, it was just like this in any music business I've worked at, is just very engaged, very vocal. And I see it as a gift, because we get to hear the raw truth of where people are and what they're thinking. Okay. So when you put out a survey like this and you get 30,000 results, you come up with a lot. So we actually turned it into 9 distinct types. That's just the top. And then 7 habits across all of them. And what we're finding is you go ask people about their collector's journey, right? Our vision is the collector's journey. And we go ask them, hey, tell me about your collector's journey, right? You just kind of weave that into any conversation, and you hear the wildest stuff. And people range. They're not just one, they're multiple, and they have different habits. And they all kind of weave together, but that's the web that we found. So what are we going to do with it? Is we're going to start to take aspects of our journey and our product and our editorial and our marketing and cater it towards those individuals. And the things that work really, really well and people respond to, we'll keep pushing in. And the things that don't, we won't. But we want to serve the community that we have here as well as we can. And we just felt like this was a great next step to learning more about them. But how do you talk to millions and millions of people and ask them, tell me about yourself, right?
So there's that one stat. For me, I guess I consider myself an audiophile. I also like the original pressings as well. Yeah. But I think, what are you going to now do with that information? Is it more going to be geared towards direct marketing the Discogs customer base with that survey information? Is there a sort of marketing plan in place for that as well going forward?
Yeah, we're going to try out different things. Who knows, right? You pull this information, you learn it. And what I typically have done in the organizations is I'm not trying to justify some plan that we already had in front of us. These are the things that are going to help inform the plans that we create. So now we have this information, and we've created awareness across the whole organization, and everybody's thinking about these things as we're making the decisions that we're doing. And then you ask yourself, hey, is this going to help the audiophile? Is this going to be good for this? Is this going to be good for this? And then we try and connect the dots. So I don't know that I could tell you any very specific thing that we're going to do, other than we were curious and we got a lot of information back. But we should see this start to get reflected in our products, in our features and functionality, right, for the contributors, for the sellers, and the collectors.
So, Kevin, is that information, do these stats surprise you? Obviously, you started the company in 2000. Is this a surprise to you, or something that you sort of knew in the back of your head even before the 30,000 plus were surveyed and give you those answers?
It is surprising compared to where we came from. So in the beginning, Discogs was for DJs and collectors. DJs are collectors too. But it was primarily around DJs back then. But as we expanded into all types of music, I think we've taken on the audiophile aspect, which is where I fall too. I mean, I mean, I'm a DJ, but I definitely identify with the audiophile and archivist aspects.
There's more. I got more stats. Anthony was really, really nice. So I put some more stuff up. Let's look at this one here. Discogs is nearing 1 million contributors to the discography. That's 1 million dedicated collectors working together to document the history, and Lloyd already mentioned this, of recorded music and few music discovery for the global community. I mean, that's amazing. And I mean, you've got the next 5-10 years. I mean, the business plan, obviously we know things change, but let's pull back a little bit. We had the pandemic in March 2020, so 4 years ago now. That's crazy. It's already been 4 years. Maybe not at the beginning, but probably midway through 2020. What was going on? I mean, I guess, Kevin, you were there. I don't think Lloyd was part of that then. But Kevin, were you seeing a major increase in traffic on your website? Like, what were you guys seeing in the beginning? Was it just overwhelming?
Yeah, it was a bit overwhelming. I say probably around March of 2020, we saw our daily orders go down drastically for about 2 weeks, and then almost double over the next couple months.
So in the middle of this pandemic, I'm assuming you probably had to, start expanding and hiring people just because of the amount of volume that you at Discogs was seeing at the time. So for you, it would have been your busiest time ever in terms of as a CEO of a business.
Yeah, we did go through significant hiring during that time. Also to update our software, maintain the platform, and take on new laws and regulations that we have to comply with. So that was definitely a challenge during those years.
Got another stat here. Let's look at this as well. This is kind of fun. Your top contributor, and this blows me away, has contributed almost 60,000 releases since 2005. And this is really cool, guys. Yeah. He's now employed by Discogs as our principal of discography affairs to support the dedicated community. So tell us a little bit more of that. So you're reaching out to your customer base and hiring them, it sounds like.
Yeah, so this goes way back to maybe 2012. We had a side project we were experimenting with, needed someone to do some data work, reached out to him, Brent, and he did some work for us, and then that was great. And later on, we needed someone on the customer support team, and we brought him in for that. So he's really grown within the company, and his expertise is extremely valuable. I mean, he knows some aspects of this better than anyone else.
So how many are employed with Discogs currently, Kevin?
I believe around 107 right now.
Wow. So is that growth since March 2024? Like, what were the numbers then compared to now in the last 4 years?
2020, we probably had around 80 at the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not a huge shift, right, over those years. I think that the biggest shift, and what most people don't know, is for the first 10 years, it was like 10 people, right? So, Kevin, tell them a little bit about the humble beginnings of Discogs in the first 10 years, really.
So it was just me for the first 5 years. After 2 years of Discogs, so I was working at Intel as a software developer. I was there 5 years total. In 2002, they were looking to downsize my group, and they offered me voluntary severance, and I could get 6 months pay to leave. And Discogs traffic was it was really small, but it was like growing drastically every month, and I was having so much fun doing it. So I thought, if there's ever a chance to work on this full time, now is the time. So I took that deal and started working on Discogs full time after that. So it was just me for the first 5 years. Then second employee was in 2005, and then by the end of 2010, I think there were around 10. We had 10 people, and yeah.
So Kevin, that's actually brilliant timing. Just sort of going back 24 years, as we all recall, in the year 2000, we had the tech crash where the Nasdaq basically fell by 50% over that 2-3 year period. So Kevin gets out of Intel just at the height of the entire collapse of the tech market. So well done, well done.
Thank you. I mean, I was witnessing all of that, and I guess laughing along a bit at some of the silly companies that were out there, like pets.com spending ridiculous amounts of money on free shipping.
Even Amazon.com, I remember being in the stock market industry, like, okay, just a bookseller from Seattle, how's this going to look? And then next minute, it's a $1 trillion company. It's crazy. It's like today, AI, right, is big. So NVIDIA, the chip maker, has a $2 trillion valuation as of today. I mean, it's insanity what's going on in this industry. So, I mean, AI could be a big part, or could be a big part of Discogs going forward. Is that something you guys are looking at as well, to sort of streamline operations or look at your data in a different way?
We just started poking around with AI, actually. Yeah. We see, I think in this world with what's going on, and you look at the lawsuit between the New York Times and OpenAPI or ChatGPT, and you're just like, there's going to be a huge reckoning of copyrights and who owns what and so forth. And the same thing in the music industry. I've got a friend who's got a AI startup in the music space, actually protecting people's rights. And it's going to be the Wild West for a while. But what I think is either we're going to figure out AI or AI is going to figure us out. And I would rather that it comes from inside the community versus from some tech folks out of Silicon Valley, right? We're the music industry is interesting and unique and very, very special. And sometimes we get pushed around a little bit and get pushed into corners we don't want to be in. So I would prefer that we figure it out so that we can keep this thriving community for us, instead of it all getting like pulled out to these transactional platforms that are trying to give stuff away for multiples of valuations so they could buy bigger yachts, right?
So Kevin, I mean, back in 2000, you've obviously had in your head to monetize Discogs. Now we're fast forward 2024. You guys have become obviously the biggest thing for vinyl collectors as a vinyl database, a place to buy and sell records, and a community thing. Have you been contacted by major Silicon Valley firms for financing and options there, or some sort of partnership deals in the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, I get pitches a lot from companies that I'm not interested in. I don't know. I think the whole idea is generally like pump in a bunch of money to make us super big and valuable, and then sell to somebody else. But we're not interested in that. I've never been interested in that.
Obviously, you're talking about some of the hedge funds out of New York. Then probably have approached you on that idea.
We get LinkedIn notifications, I'd say weekly, from private equity VCs, from banks, and it's we're not interested in that, as Kevin pointed out, but it's a different philosophy, right? And I'm going to oversimplify this, but there's two ways to do business in this world, as I see it, and there's nothing wrong with either one, but one's better for, I think, a community-based platform versus somebody where there's a few people at the top that are really going to make it. And so you can take a result like, we got to hit this revenue number, and you can just push that down into an organization. But ultimately what happens is the individuals at that company get treated like cogs in a wheel. And then when things are tough, you're laying off thousands of people to make it right. Whereas what Kevin has built here, which is quite special and unique, is the people who work here are part of the community. They have record collections. They care about the viability of the market, and they want everyone to thrive. And so instead of trying to generate a result and then push it down into the organization, we're listening to our community. We're listening to the people in the walls of our office, and we're building the results and pushing out from there. And so I think ultimately, long term, that's the thing. That's why we've been around 25 years. Keep in mind, the venture-backed company, 97% of them don't make it, right? They go away. And we're planning on being here for, I think Kevin and I talked about 300 years past our lifetime. That's what we're trying to build.
So, I mean, we'll take more questions from the viewers. I know I wouldn't say it's an elephant in the room, but I mean, I've been watching the comments as we've been on the last 20 minutes, and it's the shipping fees. And I saw it here. Rare Medium is going to, I'll just address it right now. Rare Medium is asking, I think it's fair to take a cut of the shipping after $6 or $8 to stop people from charging ridiculous postage and pricing items too cheaply. So basically what he's trying to say is there's been a lot of comments, and I mean, directed today towards Discogs. Why are you charging these shipping fees? What's going on there, guys? And I'd love for you guys to address it. I know we talked about it before we got on, but I know that's a big question in the chat right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a decision we made a year ago. We had been considering it. Basically, we've had to take on a lot of increased costs over the years. New software, people complying with new laws, things like that. So it was time to adjust our price, and we looked at the options that were available to us, and we decided that it would be a good thing to assess the fee on the items and the shipping as well, mainly to keep the shipping prices in line with the market.
And if you look, that's what eBay's doing. That's what Amazon's doing. We were a little more transparent when we made it look split, but everybody's taking a total of the order, and that's industry standard. Before that, Discogs had not raised prices for almost 10 years, taking on inflation, taking on the cost of software, taking on salary increases and all of that. And so it made sense at that time. But the thing to really focus on is, unlike some of the other transactional platforms that are out there, we are the only way that Discogs makes revenue is if somebody takes from the discography, from the listings, right? The beginning of the company with the 17 million releases in it, and they list something, right? So they're benefiting from that platform, which is run, pretty Creative Commons style, like a nonprofit. If they're benefiting from that, that fee is then used to then make the improvements to the platform, to pay for the servers, to keep this project moving forward. Whereas a lot of the other platforms that are out there, they're getting into music and vinyl because it's hot now. Discogs started at the all 30-year low for vinyl, been around for 24 years. You've got all these other platforms getting into it now because they're chasing that, like, we need to grow. So they're adding on vinyl and music to their portfolio. And even still, our fees are still lower than eBay's fees, right? So we're trying to find that balance between, running a long-term viable business and, not taking, more than is fair.
So in a way, what I'm hearing you say, Lloyd, is that it's a way to protect your customer base as well, so it doesn't get out of control. Would that be another reason why this was put into effect?
I'm not sure. Would you reframe that?
Well, the shipping fees and stuff like that. I mean, otherwise anyone could charge whatever they wanted, right?
Yeah.
That type of thing. So that's what I'm trying to say. Is it a way to protect the Discogs customer base in a sense?
Create some consistency, yes, and then to be consistent with the market as well.
Yeah. So, and there's an example I see in the chat of someone mentioning, without it, a seller could sell a record for $1 and $39 shipping, which is exactly what was happening. That was a problem we were seeing out there.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking, that in terms of protecting the Discogs, customer base. That's for sure. Now, you guys do have a Discogs community advisory board, so tell us a little about that and how that works within in a corporate structure and how that relates to us as a consumer.
So
I'll talk a little bit about it. This is a new thing. So this is a way so as we've gotten bigger, we've had to shift the ways we gather feedback. In the very early days, I was in the forums answering every forum thread, talking directly to customers all the time. We're a lot bigger now, and we can't operate that same way. So we came up with the idea of a community advisory board to pick out a group of people from various segments, like buyers, sellers, collectors, contributors, to get their feedback on a regular basis and bring that into the company. So we will be on the pulse of what's important to them and focused on their needs.
Early days, Kevin, when there were like 1,300 people, right, in the system, you were in the forums, you were listening to all that stuff, you were answering lots of emails, you were highly engaged, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So now there's millions of people. And so there's a lot of signal versus noise that comes through the system. And we're trying to cut through that. So what Kevin and I designed here is something that gives the community an appointed expert in each of those areas. And we're going to look for in each of those sectors, a diversity of like sellers that are high volume, sellers that are selling out of their basement, collectors that are, high, 60,000 and more, and then collectors who are in that 500 range or lower, and get a wide range of feedback from them. We also have like I said, we've got the super engaged, awesome community that's telling us what they want. And so we're going to run some surveys and some polls that we're going to work with the community advisory board on. And then we'll meet quarterly and talk about what our roadmap is, where we're going, what some of our challenges for getting to the next level are, and then hear from them on, out of all these things that you're hearing from the community, here are the things that we think are the most important to be focused on. It's just going to help us get that outsider's perspective, right? It's the forest through the trees concept. Well, I call it the dance floor versus the balcony. So sometimes you got to go up to the balcony and look at the whole party. If you're just in the party all the time, you can't always see if everybody's having a good time. And so we're trying to elevate so that we can get better perspective from everyone. And this is one way to do that.
So one I saw the comments go through. I missed it already, but I mean, I know you guys put significant money into, I think Kevin was mentioning software and hardware upgrades. Now, the Discogs app. I've seen a lot of comments from people who are asking about the Discogs app and if that's going to get updated or upgraded, and what you guys are doing to address some of the issues that a lot from the Discogs community are facing with the Discogs app. If you want to address that.
Yeah, the app is we have an updated app coming out very soon. We're working on it right now. There's going to be a larger beta test of this in the next month or two. So keep an eye out for that. We have a limited beta right now, but it's going to be a unified app, same experience on iOS and Android. I also saw a lot of comments about want list. That's something we're working on right now. I can't say exactly how it's going to work and exactly what features are there, but you will be able to set criteria on what you're looking for, like around a region or a grading, things like that. So to narrow down on the things you're looking for and restrict the number of alerts that you're getting. So it's going to become a lot more manageable.
When will you guys implement the app changes, like later, like Q3 type of thing this year for your company? And then when do you see that being rolled out?
Before that. It's Q2.
Excellent. So
yeah.
coming up, busy time.
Oh yeah.
So I want to just, maybe we'll bring in some questions from the viewers as well. But where do you guys see yourself? I mean, there's still like obviously a big vinyl retailers out there. How do you work with the vinyl retailers to really make sure they're viable as well? I mean, what are you guys doing there to help with their business plan, and how does that sort of roll into the bigger Discogs business plan with million plus users on the platform?
Yeah, this one's been a little bit of a beast for us in the last year. I'm going to be honest about. And what has happened with AI and machine learning is there's just been an influx of fraud, period, across the internet. I get a fraud phone call 5 times a day right now, and so it's just not from our company, from just in general, right? And so I think fraud is something that needs to be addressed, and I know that people are on it, but yes, wantless. But the issue is how do you then vet them out? And we've had to slow down very significantly how we're bringing people on board. It's one part new regulations, which I think are great because I think the government agencies are seeing that. And then one part us wanting to reduce the amount of fraud on our system. So we've invested heavily in the latest and greatest software. Not going to tell you what it is because it's a cat and mouse game. I've done a lot of fraud mitigation in my time in all my companies. And if we explain what we're doing, they'll just find a better way to defeat it. And so we're doing a lot on that front. But then on the other front, we're actually literally having people go in and put in government IDs, and we're verifying bank accounts now so that we can prove that this is a real person on the other side, so that when we bring them into our platform, they're more likely to be not a fraudster. Although with all the AI generative images and everything too, I imagine that's a beast for the government agencies as well. On the other side is what we're doing. We're running some campaigns internally. You'll see little pop-ups pop up. This is all starting to ramp up, where we're going to start educating everyone on best practices. Look for the stars is one of the things we've said in there. If you're buying something, make sure they're well vetted, have a lot of stars. And then as we bring new sellers into the platform, we're looking for ways to help them build up their credibility if they are a valid seller, so that they can have the same stats as everyone else. But it's been a heavy lift, no doubt, and we've taken it very seriously and put a lot of time and energy into it over the last year, because it's nothing's worse than being defrauded, period, and nothing's worse than not getting the record you thought you were going to get.
It's like, I mean, I know this has happened, and you guys are probably well aware of this. A few of the Discogs sellers look legit. You buy the record, it seems like a good price. You get an email from them. Oh, you paid through PayPal. And they're like, oh, actually, I can't use PayPal. They send you back the money. Can you use whatever it is, third party thing? And you're thinking, okay, this is legit. I'll send my $200 to this, and then the guy just disappears. And you've made obviously a complaint with you guys, but the guy disappears. How are we vetting those type of people out more? Because I mean, they do look legit. They do have a number of stars beside them, or a number of positive reviews. So is that just a software thing, using more AI technology to sort of decipher all of that?
It's more than software. As we're bringing people in, we're actually forcing you to go through a service where you have to upload a government agency ID, and that service is actually validating those individuals, and they're using bank accounts and other things. And then there's different levels of it. Some of that is mandated actually by our government agencies, which is great. And we have humans in our company that are doing that as well. And then we're just pouring over anything that comes in. We have a fraud mitigation team internally, and anytime they see anything, they're just shutting it down as quickly as we can. Going outside of the platform, obviously, we don't want you to do that. The only way we stick around is if people pay their fees. But one positive thing about PayPal, I will say, I know they take a big fee, and we want to find ways to help our sellers have other avenues as well. But they do guarantee those transactions. And if you are buying through it and it's deemed to be fraud, that they're going to make it right with you. And that stuff comes at a cost. The reason why they can do that is because they charge a fee. And so some of that stuff that I know we want to try to avoid protects us. And so if you're out there doing that, you're kind of on your own at your own risk. And certainly we don't want you to do that. We'd rather you facilitate the transaction on platform, but also that's why we have PayPal as our partner right now, because we want to guarantee that transaction.
I got one comment here. Bourbon Street Consultant. I know Kevin was looking at this one as a business seller on Discogs. He says, is there a way to sort my collection by current availability, such as looking at all the items in my collection that currently have 0 offerings available?
Yeah, we don't have that. That's a really good idea, though. So
yes.
I see that as like, I have a collection. It's telling me what I should sell now if I'm looking for an opportunity.
Hence, going back to the research and data that you guys have collected. I mean, it can help the seller out immensely, especially on this platform, which obviously you guys are aware of. But I mean, this is incredible amount of data. Like I said, going back to like time of day selling. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different things that you could really market towards going forward. Let me just see here. Anything you want to add, Lloyd or Kevin, right now as we go through some of these? I mean, a lot of people, PayPal is great, like you mentioned, right? You get that you're guaranteed in case there is a fraud or a scam. There's not going to be any issues there.
I think what's kind of fun about where we're going that I'll add is there's 2 significant parts to our business and 3 parties, right? You've got the contributors who are contributing to the database, which has made it really accurate and amazing. That's the stat you shared earlier. It's nearing 1 million humans doing that. Kevin and I have been at major labels, and they'll tell us, they're like, hey, everyone here has Discogs open all the time, and your database is actually more accurate than ours. right? And that's because we've got the human algorithm. You know, it's not the AI algorithm. People who actually physically have products in hand are the ones putting it into the system. And so we are going to be celebrating our 25th year next year, and we're pushing to increase our contribution significantly, because that sonic archaeology, right? When you find all the cool things that are missing and you put them in the database, and the robots can't do it, right? A lot of this stuff wasn't out, it was out pre-internet, right? So like the 250 EMI releases in Nigeria, for example, you get those on the system and it creates this really cool experience for the folks who, you know, are 8 tabs deep at 3 a.m. digging down some rabbit hole to find that information in. And so we're gonna find some cool ways to celebrate our contributors and to help increase contributions, because right now that process has a little bit of friction. We're working on it. Brent's working on it, and we're also going to try and help encourage that kind of sonic discovery so that those stories surface, and we'll surface that not only in the database but also in our editorial, so that we could share those neat stories out there as well. And that's fun stuff.
I guess a follow-up question that Bourbon Street has, Kevin, will Discogs be offering a point-of-sale system such as PayPal in the order to keep everything in-house? PayPal fees stacked on top of Discog fees quickly adds up, as I'm sure as your sellers in their seller stores, you know, stuff is probably some of the complaints you guys have had. Is that an idea you're looking at, sort of a Discogs sort of PayPal bank or something like that? Is that something in the future you could look at as part of a 5-10-year business plan or 300-year business plan, Lloyd?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. We've talked about the idea many times. There's nothing in the works right now, but I could see that happening for sure. Yeah, and unfortunately, the PayPal fees are higher cross border, so for foreign sellers, so that they do add up. And we're looking at ways to get that to a better place, including offering other payment methods down the road. Probably next year, you'll see that.
So I've seen this a lot as we've been going the last 36 minutes. So when certain listings, I think I've seen some consistency photos of the items.
Yeah.
I know Lloyd's laughing right now.
Yeah.
So the question is, you know, Zoo Stations, yes, photos of items. So tell us, or you know, sort of expand on how Discogs is looking at making sure that when you list something that you get the photo of the item, or how that's going to, you guys are implementing a strategy for that.
Yeah, so basically sellers would have the option to attach an image of the actual item instead of using the stock cover or the one from our catalog. So yeah, that will happen.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time and timing. Kevin, there's so many great ideas, and we want to implement them all. Something that we didn't really touch on here that's important is early days. And having been a software developer myself, and anybody who's in software development will relate. Anytime you're growing a startup, Kevin, right? You're saying yes to everything. You're building everything into the system, and then what do you have? You have a lot of code that's kind of intertwined. And we have actually been rolling out new pages slowly of our code being decoupled from the old system. And what we're doing is we're preparing the platform so that we can do this kind of innovation without it being a total, just, excuse my language, shit show, as we know. And so actually we have had a lot of progress in modernizing our platform. It's just its feature parity on a new system that isn't as tangled up as before. But Kevin, I'm sure you can speak to early days of coding this thing up and how we got to where we are, right?
Yeah. Yeah, in some ways it was a little haphazard, but I was basically responding to user requests. And in the very early days, especially in the first 5 years, I said yes to almost everything people asked for, which is what got us here. And that's why we've made it almost 25 years. So, I mean, in a way, that was a really good thing, but it also created problems because our code base ends up like a big mess, like a ball of spaghetti. That gets harder and harder to update over time. So that's something we've been focused on for the past year and more, is untangling the mess and getting to a place where we have simpler, cleaner systems that are going to be easier to update and change over time. Yeah. So yeah, we're getting better.
Kevin ripped off the Band-Aid, right? So we're doing it all at once, which means it's an all hands on deck. Like the whole team's focused on that, and that's why we haven't seen a lot of innovation over the past year. It is happening. It's just we're preparing the platform or the foundation for the innovation to happen on top of it, versus trying to add features onto something that's already a bit lethargic to work with. And so in the next 6 months, 12 months, you'll start to see some of that stuff come through, and it's going to get real exciting. And then we've got the community advisory board, and we'll have a better informed roadmap, because there's a lot of good ideas in this list. There's a lot of good ideas that come to us in email. There's a lot of good ideas that we see and read in the forums. There's a lot of good ideas. Don't stop sending them our way, but we've got to find a way to prioritize that stuff and start to put it into the roadmap too.
Another question, Joshua Crowell. I would love to be able to sort my collection via original album release dates, not the release date of my particular pressing, if at all possible. Again, you guys probably get a lot of these every single day. I can see a sort of smiling there, Lloyd, when I'm reading these out. So this is stuff that you're definitely familiar with, or questions that have been asked to you guys.
And sometimes not. Like we heard the one that Kevin said he hadn't heard before, and that's what I love about our community. They continue to surprise us in the ways that they're thinking about and using the platform, which is great. And so that's why I say don't stop telling us. But that's another really good one. I don't know, Kevin, had you seen that one yet?
No, I haven't seen that one. So yeah, your collection is sorted based on the original pressing date. Yeah. And that makes sense.
Yeah. Good idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see some questions about the app and reauthentication. That's the current bug.
Tell us a little bit more about that. Yeah, because that's a lot of questions. I've been getting some personal emails before I went on with you guys. Steve, ask about the app. What's going on with the app? I mean, I know we've addressed it already. Maybe if you want to just sort of talk a little bit more to with regard to that, Kevin.
With the reauthentication piece.
Yeah.
We switched authentication providers a couple months ago, so it's a bug with our integration with the new provider. We are working on it right now.
That's one thing I don't think people realize. The server space that something like Discogs must use, 1 million plus in the community. I mean, are you leasing through Dell or Oracle or Amazon? Do you have your own server? What's up with that? I mean, that's the brain of the operation. And it doesn't really get talked about much. But I mean, where is that located? Is that a huge cost in terms of business, overall business? Like, where are we at?
Yeah.
Let people know so they understand what's going on with all that.
Server costs are high. Right. We have over 1 billion data points. Okay. And then take that across and multiply it across 17 million, releases and 80 million items listed on the website and all the sellers that we have. We've got a lot of information. Okay. And Kevin, where it's on a server right now, right?
Yeah, we have a data center in Hillsboro, Oregon. I don't know how big it is or how many servers there are. I think at one point we had 4 racks, but we are moving most of the stuff to the cloud, and we will be full cloud in a couple months. Funny anecdote, in the early days, it was one server built out of spare parts in my closet.
Someone even said that. I said, Kevin has a server in his closet. So, I mean, that actually was true. There you go.
Early days, Kevin, you got to tell the camping story about when it started, like the real responsibility and understanding of what you had here started to happen.
Yeah, at some point, I mean, this is one of those points where Discogs was shifting from a hobby to, okay, this is actually a business, and I need to think about it differently now. We had some incident with a database server crashing, and sellers were saying, hey, I have a couple people helping me, and I had to send them home today and they didn't get paid because Discogs wasn't up, and I didn't know when it was coming back up. So that was like a eye-opening moment and caused me to think about this differently. So then a little bit after that, I had a camping trip planned, and I rented a satellite phone to bring with me just in case there was an issue. The team could call me. At that point, I was still deep in the technology, and there were some things that only I could solve. Thankfully we moved past that.
Yeah.
Here's one here. Look at this one. I would love to be able to click on that one in the collection icon and have it take me to that pressing instead of searching a huge list for my copy. Have you heard of that one before? Has anyone asked that?
I'm trying to understand what that is. The one in collection.
Maybe if Johnny C wants to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, on which page?
Yeah, on which page?
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
I'm thinking of it as like the one in collection on my collection. If that's like in your own collection, is that what you're talking about, or is it somewhere else?
if you can repost that question, that would be awesome. Thank you. Auto excursion here. So your data isn't replicated around the globe. AWS can make that a reality. Quicker response by continent.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's the thing, right? I mean, as you guys grow, Lloyd was mentioning this whole server expense. That probably is going to be a big bottom line in your business model in the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, but it helps the thriving community, right? We've got people who are coming in. Like I had a guy reach out to me from the music industry, and he was talking about this big metal deal he's doing, and he's trying to find all the license holders because he wants to go reissue the project, and he's on Discogs. He's like, this is great. You have everything there. What a lot of people forget about is there's this huge component of our business that we make no money off of. That's all out there, just freely available for the music industry to be using. And so we've kind of we walk this line between this not almost nonprofit to this other place, which is a marketplace. All the other marketplaces that are out there, they're looking at your traffic in there, and it's like, how do I get that thing to a conversion, right? And that's all they care about. We're trying to build more of a community here, and we want people to be using the platform just to learn and grow and understand and go deeper into music. And so that's just the cost of doing business for us. And so it is a bigger line item on our P&L. Maybe why we don't have any offices right now. We're paying for servers instead.
Well,
all working out of our homes. Yeah.
I was going to ask that. Someone at the very beginning said, "Is Discogs remote? Like, where are you guys working?" I mean, is it?
Oh yeah.
It's so excellent. So you're in Denver right now, Lloyd? Is that?
Yeah, I'm in Denver. I'm in my basement in Denver.
There you go.
Kevin's in.
I'm in my basement in Portland. Basement dweller.
There you go.
Yeah. And then we got people in Kentucky. We got people in California. We got a lot of people in the Pacific Northwest because this is where the company started. We got people in Japan. We've got people in the UK, and we've got people in the Netherlands, just outside of Amsterdam. Yeah.
Lloyd, you're missing Canada.
I know. It's the next frontier, I guess. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Question then. So going back, I mean, your time at Vinyl Me Please, I know a lot of my viewers are customers of Vinyl Me Please. Has Discogs ever looked at that type of subscription model base at some sort of level? Would that be something that you could look at going forward? And
like manufacturing our own products and so on. I think
like
if we ever did something like that, we would do it more for the fun for customers, not as like a big business thing. The last thing I want to do is compete with all our sellers that are out there. I'd rather focus our time and energy on how do we get more transactions for people on the platform and help them turn their inventory. But we might put out something cool that's like a Discogs X whatever, just for the brand and fun of it. I could see us doing that, but no, I don't see that on our radar anytime soon. And I don't know why that would help the community that we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hang on. Johnny C, I think he's back with the question. Kevin, on the artist release page, you see a little green icon next to the titles you have in your collection, such as Pet Sounds on Beach Boys page. Would like to be able to click on that icon to get my copy, he's asking.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you can expand that and it will show you all the pressings of that. And there should be a green dot next to the one you have, but you want to click the dot. That makes sense. That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Faster. Yeah.
So getting back to it again, I mean, in terms of the relationships with the retail record, I guess the record owner these days, are you guys going sort of door to door and doing more stuff with the retailers across North America now to get them part of the Discogs community? I mean, obviously a lot of the retailers use Discogs to sell their record, sell their inventory across the world. So as the executive of Discogs, what's your plan there to sort of maintain that relationship going forward?
Yeah, we love record stores and independent record stores. Yesterday was my birthday. What did I do? I went to 3 different record stores in Denver and spent too much money. Got in trouble, of course. But we love record stores, and we just want to support in any way we can. The way I look at it is when record stores are thriving, the industry is thriving, and there's enough to go around, right? And so we have record stores who sell on our platform and some who don't. But I dare you to walk into a record store and not see a Discogs tab open, right? And so, we're just happy everybody's winning here, making a livelihood selling records.
And that's the one thing I've noticed. I mean, in Vancouver, all the record stores here, the prices are consistent. Hence why you could walk in. I've got my app open. Oh, I'm going to look at, okay, David Bowie's Let's Dance original pressing. Oh, okay, it's worth X amount. I mean, and I go to it. There it is. Okay, so I mean, most record store owners are using that as the base these days to price their inventory. So it's a really cool community to see that's actually happening. And I like the consistency of that as well. Another question, Kevin. This is a cool question from Bourbon Street again. What is your favorite hidden feature inside Discogs? That's a good one. I like that question.
I don't know about a hidden feature. I mean, it's not really a feature, but like when I buy, I usually find the one thing I want from a seller, and then I do a quick scan of the list of something that's rated 4.5 or higher, and maybe more wants than haves, something like that. Thought like, what if that were automated? But I think that would kind of take out some of the fun. A feature I really want is to look at my want list and see all the artists that are in it. So then when I'm in a record store, I don't have time to go through pages and pages of my want list. I could just get a quick glance of like, who's in my want list again, and go to that section and look for them. I think that would help me out a lot. So I hope to offer that someday.
I like this idea from Rick's V Spinner. He goes, everyone's looking at the median asking price when you see that on the app or on the website, as most know, but better to know the median sold price in the last 6 months. I like that idea. I really do, actually. Have you thought about that one?
We adjusted our calculation for pricing recently to be a little more median. There's always the opportunity to do a little bit better for sure. But yeah, it's something we can consistently work on for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, why show the median, not the average price? I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
Now, have you? This is a question I have for you. So you know how you put in your collection and you see, okay, low amount, medium amount, high amount. How much has everyone's collection in the Discogs community increased in the last 4 to 5 years? Has it been 50%? Do you guys have that data? You must have. Like Lloyd's laughing. You know this, right? It's like the stock market. Like if you bought Apple stock, you're looking at every day. Oh, is it up? It's like I remember looking at my Discogs account, going, "Oh my God, it's up again today." I mean, this is. Yeah. It was like its own stock market. So.
It's going to ebb and flow, though. I have some predictions on just the market in general as things shift, right? We just went through the thing I call like the COVID bounce. You got all these companies that even Zuckerberg thought, COVID was going to drive long-term sales. So, it went up really, really high because everybody was at home. They weren't spending any money on vacations. They weren't doing anything. What are they doing? They're buying turntables, they're buying records, or whatever they chose to buy, collectibles. I'm sure Funko Pop did really well during that time too. And Lego definitely did, right? And especially at my house, I got like millions of them, including that Lego of the Capitol Records building right there.
I don't see our Funko Pop there, Lloyd.
They're right here.
Oh, they're there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it went up, and so collections went up, right? But I think it'll normalize out a little bit here. I think record prices will come down a little bit. What had happened is there was having been at Vinyl Me Please, having opened, I'm part of the co-founding group that's opening the record pressing plant here in Denver too. Having seen like a shortage of pressing capacity for a number of years during a time when there was high demand, it drove record prices way up. And now that record capacity is going to open back up and the demand is going to not be quite as high, it's going to come back down a little bit. And I think ultimately that could be a good thing, right? See more records move through at slightly lower prices might not be bad, but I don't know. Depends on the perspective that you're on. But we did see, collections go up, and the value of collections go up significantly over the last 4 years.
So you got the community advisory board. I mean, do a lot of people consider their record collection an investment, or is it just, it has a value, but I'm enjoying it? Like where's the mindset with most Discogs customers or collectors these days? What type of information you get in from them?
I think some would see their collection as like an extension of themselves, an expression of their personality and their history and interests. I mean, I don't see my collection as an investment. I mean, I don't expect to sell it all and make a profit or anything. I buy it for me to enjoy. Yeah, and I think a lot of other users are the same way.
Yeah, that's how I use my records. I listen to records every day, and I'm using them. They're not going to be in near mint condition. Now, there are a lot of people on the platform that have that, and what they're doing, having interviewed like a lot of folks in my early days here, they'll be like, yeah, I had a huge record collection, and in order to continue to be able to buy more records, I had to sell some of them. One, for the real estate in my home, and two, so that I could free up funds and go buy other records. And I think that's a really neat thing. Now, I'm like Kevin. I don't plan on selling anywhere. I just want to keep piling them up. They're all going to be, when I pass away, given to my kids, and very well used at the same time. But yeah, it's all over the board. Really.
Well, that's the thing too, right? I mean, you look at my record, my Tom Petty, or where is it? Tom Petty sold for, $50, $60, but who's going to get that? That's the high. I mean, really, people, you see these numbers, and you're like, oh my gosh, my record collection's worth $100,000. I'm going to sell it all. Well, it's not necessarily. That's not what you're going to get out of it, especially if you have to sell it individually. It's going to be a lot less. Or if you sell it to a record collector, they're going to take 50. You're going to cut 50% off just so they can make a profit off it as well. So
right.
Exactly. Here's a question. I don't understand this, and hopefully Kevin can help. Junkyard Vinyl says, "Will we be employing PAC's database?" What does that mean?
I don't know what PAC is.
Okay, I saw that too. I said I don't know what that is. Hopefully, maybe Junkyard Vinyl can elaborate more on that one. Norman Maslow asks, can we download our collection list showing value for insurance and family?
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Yeah,
okay.
Actually, that's insurance is something people use Discogs for all the time. Now, here's what I do. Actually, here's a fun hidden feature that's a little bit outside of our platform, a little bit inside of our platform. But there's this API developer, Ronan, and he built this thing called Waxlog. And Waxlog is this neat little app where if you go sign up for it and you approve it through your system, it takes your collection in Discogs and you can flip through it. And so I actually have my iPad sitting next to my turntable. And when my friends come over, they can open up the iPad, flip through, or search it for different things that they want. And then I can go pull the records because I've got stuff upstairs. I got stuff downstairs. Yeah.
Picture Archive, Kevin, is what he's meaning by PACs.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that project.
Okay. I like this question here. Being able to upload an Excel spreadsheet of a collection, then one by one pick the correct title listing to match the record in my collection would be really handy, Rick's V Spinner's asking.
Yeah, sounds like a wizard or multi-step process where you would go through one by one and choose, like, take a Excel or a bulk list of your collection and then something that helps you choose the right one to put in your collection. That's a good idea.
It is really nice. Johnny C. tried to download my collection for insurance, but it does not include the value
for each itemized item. Yeah. Okay.
We probably don't include that in the CSV or the Excel export.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can.
But if you take, it's Johnny, take a screenshot of the landing page with the total at the top plus your spreadsheet. Put that image inside the thing, and that's what I've seen other folks do for insurance.
What's the fastest way to upload your collection? Scan each with a hand wand, then choose the title for what you're currently offering.
Yeah. This is something we want. This is something that I think actually some of the latest in technology can help with. We want to make it easier for people to add stuff to their collection. And it's just on that list of like, we got to get through this and then we're going to go do that. But yeah, it's not that fast. If you've got like something like you try and put a Pink Floyd record in, you don't know, and you're going into the matrix numbers on the run out, like it's not always easy. Right. And so I agree. We're playing with some fun ideas and thoughts around that, but not the highest thing on the list right now. But up there. Yeah.
So Saturday Records on Discogs, my insurance agent is allowed my median Discogs collection estimate for appraisal purposes, which would make a lot of sense. It's never going to be the high. It's never going to be the high amount. I mean, the insurance companies don't want to pay out the high amount. They're not going to do that. That's for sure. Music in the house. I just saw this. Using AI for matching pictures of records in your collection to listings in Discogs would be handy as well. This AI is coming up a lot today, boys. This is a lot.
Well, all the image recognition stuff I think can be really handy here. The natural language processing could be really handy here because anytime you're trying to discern down a complex bunch of data into one result, it's easier to do it with stuff like that than for us to try and discern, looking through lists and lists of things. So I agree. I think AI would be good. And then I've done that too. There was a record that I wasn't quite sure what one I had, and I did the Google search of it. And it's so funny because Google pulled back the Discogs listing for me. So yeah, I think image search would be awesome for us to have in the future as well.
So we were talking about sort of upgrades to the app. I'm looking at this question here from Alex Dickey. Where can we get the app that lets us scroll through our whole collection? Is that something that we're working on?
That's Waxlog, what Lloyd was talking about.
Oh yeah, Waxlog.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Waxlog.
Waxlog.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. He's going to hate me for this. Waxlog.com. Hi, Ronan. It's awesome though. We love our API developers. They're building really, really cool stuff. And whenever we see something like this, we tend to reach out and explore it a little bit further. But we did some fun things with him in the Rocky Mountain Record Show out here and the Harlem Vinyl Festival. We actually had like DJ Sasha's collection was in there, and you could go search through it, which was fun.
Dr. Bryant 23. So Kevin Lloyd, how many $1 million or more collections are on Discogs? Is there one?
So a user whose collection is valued at $1 million or more. I don't know. I don't know if we've looked that up. Like, who has the most valuable collection?
We've looked at stats like 60,000 records, 20,000 records, but we haven't been that focused on it. I do think when you get a lot of records like that, it gets harder and harder to keep it in a system. And the question is, what type of collector are you? Comes up for me. Are you the person who's archiving? Like we had the pleasure of seeing Craig Coleman from Atlantic Records collection. And he has 2 million originals, never been played, right, in a warehouse. And that was surreal, right? Can you imagine putting all those in a database? That would be quite a pull.
You
right?
can't. I mean,
yeah.
Are you guys
actually? Oh my gosh, I can't even forget Zero Freda. Do you know about Zero Freda, the largest record collector in the world? Kevin, you got to tell the crew here.
Do tell us, Kevin.
He's a record collector based in Sao Paulo who has 7 million plus records, approaching 8 million. You may have seen the picture of him in the warehouse standing on a pile of records.
I have seen it.
Yeah, I met him last year. Really, really cool experience. And saw the warehouse and the operation too. And they're selling on Discogs as well.
Yeah.
So at the top, I mean, one of the stats that Anthony sent me was this. Discog members added 3 records per second to their collection on basically in 2023. Are we still seeing that amount of quantity as we've been sitting here the last 60 minutes? I mean, that's a lot of records that have been sold through the Discogs platform. So Kevin, are you seeing those updates as we go through it every second, every 3 seconds, boom, boom, boom? Are you seeing that? I mean, is it still going? Is it still happening?
There's no ticker on my screen.
Text message every time that happens.
Damn, I think I'd want a ticker on my screen to see that. It would just be this constant. You know how like in the stock market, you see that the stock tick all the time up and down. It'd be the same thing for a Discogs buy or sell.
Yeah, that's fun. I think we're kind of coming up on the hour. I know I gotta go back to family time here pretty soon. But any last minute questions we want to handle?
Well, I mean, I think if there's any other questions, I mean, you can email me, put it in the comments after. You guys, I'm sure, will see the comments of this show afterwards. I'm sure Anthony or someone can follow up with the comments or questions that are asked after the show airs just as a recorded version on my channel, that's for sure. I want to thank everyone. A thumbs up, everyone. Thank you for this. This has been great. Great show as always. Thanks to Kevin and Lloyd for sharing their time and knowledge. Yeah, this was awesome, guys. Definitely love to have you back. This has been a real pleasure. Thank you again. And
thank you. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Let's let's do it after the app. Let's do it after the app is sort of launched. We'll see how things go over the summer, and sort of we'll come back in the fall and see where we're at and see where get some more analytics and stats. How's that sound?
We'll have some more fun things to talk about. Then.
You guys need to get up to Vancouver. I'll take you out on a night in Gastown, Vancouver. That will be fun. I'll tell you.
Perfect.
All right.
Let's do it.
I'm in.
All right, guys. Yeah. Have a good one, guys. Have a good weekend.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.